Hey everyone, Tin Man here with a deck tech for my favorite artifact deck of the format right now, Red Black Hero Killers. A lot of people think this is the best deck in the format, and for good reason. I've had about a 75% win rate with it over the past couple weeks in constructed queues, and it's a ton of fun to play. It's a very powerful early game deck running the heroes Axe, Bounty Hunter, Phantom Assassin, Legion Commander, and Sniper to get an early advantage over the opponent by killing their heroes early, getting gold, doubling it up with Payday, and then cashing it in on a big Horn of the Alpha to knock down those towers. So let's talk about a couple of different card choices in this deck. In one category we have our hero removal. So that comes with the signature cards of Legion Commander, including Duel, as well as Assassinate from Sniper, Berserker's Call from Axe, and of course Coup de Grace from Phantom Assassin. These all have a purpose of killing opposing heroes, which then gets you 5 gold. We also play cards like Assassin's Apprentice, Gank, and Pickoff that can also help us to clear out pesky opposing heroes. We also have other gold generation tools in Ironfog Goldmine and Track from Bounty Hunter, which allows us to have one of the most insane turn ones you can imagine, where we track on a hero, then trade with it, so we get 15 gold, and then on the next lane we cast Payday, so now we have 30 gold on turn 1, and then on our first buy step we buy a Horn of the Alpha to play on turn 2. Now that seems pretty unlikely to happen, but a turn 3 Horn of the Alpha is very common. But a turn 2 is kind of the perfect case scenario. We also run some other repositioning cards such as Relentless Pursuit. Some versions play cards like New Orders as well. These help to adapt to the different lanes and chase down the opposing heroes wherever they might be, as well as something like Blink Dagger. We also have Disciple of Nevermore, which is a card that some people play more than just one of, but Disciple of Nevermore, along with something like Time of Triumph, as well as just an unchecked Thunderhide pack, will eventually knock down the Ancient, the 80 health Ancient behind each tower. So you do have some Ancient pressure going into the late game with this kind of a deck, but really you want to be killing 2 towers as soon as possible, rather than trying to stall out for the late game, because like I said, this deck falls off pretty hard once you get to 7 and 8 mana. We also have a couple of units, a couple creeps, Assassin's Apprentice and Stonehall Elite. Assassin's Apprentice helps to kill off opposing heroes by curving into them on the side to add 3 extra points. And Stonehall Elite helps to solidify lanes. When you place it in front of a melee creep, it'll just kill that melee creep without taking any damage because of its 2 armor, and then it'll start growing. And eventually your opponent will have to spend either a premium removal spell like a Slay, which then they're not using the Slay on the Thunderhide pack, or they'll have to run a hero into it, at which case, you're doing exactly what this deck wants to do, is kill heroes. So this deck, a couple key tips for playing this deck. First off, if you have 3 different lanes, and you really only need to win 2 of them to win the game. So really focus on 2 lanes, and you can pretty quickly abandon one of the lanes wherever your opponent overcommits to. Ideally, you take control of lane 1 and win from there. From lane 1, you can then cast a lot of your cross-lane spells like Gank, Pickoff, and Assassinate to hit heroes on future lanes before they get a chance to act. So that's why it's always important to have priority on lane 1. Speaking of priority, it's very important that you have initiative on key turns. If you don't, this more so than other decks, because this deck relies on killing opposing heroes with your first action, so they don't get a chance to play their cards or to act. If you don't have initiative, your opponent can cast something like Gust or Annihilation, which would prevent you from, executing your game plan. But since we have so many ways of killing the opposing hero, making sure that you have initiative is very important. Don't give it up freely if you think you need to first action, coup de grace their hero or something along those lines. Also, there's a lot of different variations in this deck. This is one example. I've played a lot of different variants. There's a lot of cards you can swap in and out. Most of the cards that you see as 3-ofs here, a lot of those are pretty core cards to the deck, I would say. Things like Gank, obviously all the signature cards, and 1 or 2 Time of Triumphs. You always want to have those to have a little bit of gas in the late game. But a lot of the other cards like Relentless Pursuit, Disciple of Nevermore, Stonehall Elite, even some number of Smash Their Defenses, and Assassin's Apprentice, you can play around with those numbers, and there's a couple other options for the heroes as well, although I think this lineup is currently the best. I've seen people play with Sorlakan to get more aggressive on the towers. I've seen people play Beastmaster and Bristleback for a more red-focused version rather than black. So feel free to tinker and explore with this deck. I think it's very powerful no matter what the configuration is. And yeah, I really think this is the best deck in the format right now. It's a good, strong early game deck that puts the pressure on the opponent. And if you play this, I certainly hope you'll find as much success as I have had. Make sure you check out the article in the description down below, as well as an infographic kind of detailing the different options and summarizing these tips as well. Thanks for reading, or thanks for watching, and thanks for reading the article. I really appreciate it, and you can check out some gameplay of this where I talk through my thought processes and go through some of those tips and tricks in game in future videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.